All right, let's move now to this story. Former Tshwane Mayor Murunwa Makwarela has been granted 10,000 rand bail. He's been charged with fraud and uttering a forged document. This, of course, after the insolvency rehabilitation certificate. He presented this to the city of Tshwane to show that he was rehabilitated and therefore could still retain his position as mayor, but it was quickly exposed as a forgery. Makwarela, though, has pleaded not guilty today. eNCA's Pule Letshwiti-Jones is covering the story and he joins me in studio. So, Pule, you were around and about when this court case happened. What happened in court? Did you get a chance to speak to the former mayor?
Well, good afternoon, Sally. Once again, we're here again with one of those Makwarela moments that's taken place.
Makwarela moments, I like it.
But it started off in the morning when he handed himself over to the Brooklyn police station, where he was then taken in for processing, where his fingerprints were being processed. Then we understood that the matter would be heard before the Specialized Commercial Crimes Court, which is quite serious. I mean, the charges he's facing are quite serious charges. Entering the dock, he was quite composed and, quoting biblical scriptures like he did when he was elected as the mayor of the city of Tshwane.
Well, let's not forget he has a ministry, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. In fact, and he was quite composed, saying that he's done nothing wrong. He believes that justice must take its course, and he believes that he will emerge victorious. He thinks that the outcome will be in his favor. Of course, the matter has been postponed to the 2nd of May, but he seemed as a quite confident person, someone who believes they did nothing wrong. We had an opportunity to ask him a few questions while he was in the dock as to why did he submit that letter and what does he think of the court? Why did he hand himself over to the police then if he is not guilty? And he answered in just a few lines of sentences to our questions. Let's take a listen.
Do you think you've done nothing wrong?
Let us not preempt the judge. It's justice in this country.
But where did you get that letter from?
No. You are not the judge.
What did he say when you asked where he got the letter?
When I asked him where he got the letter from, he's like, I'm not the judge. In fact, he said, let this matter be subject of court processes.
Not giving you much at all. What are the charges he faces and how serious could the penalties be?
Well, the NPA says these are very serious charges. In fact, we understand it's 2 counts of fraud. One in which the first one, he misrepresented his documentation, which speaks to the rehabilitation certificates. He did not disclose with the IEC, which he was supposed to do. 2, he also did not disclose with the city of Tshwane and the city manager, and therefore they are probing that why he was paid as a councillor while this matter was still over him as a dark cloud. And 3, of course, the uttering of a forged document, which speaks to the falsifying of this rehabilitation document as well, which is quite serious. And the MPA says that he could actually face a jail time, serious jail time as well, if found guilty with this kind of crime or criminal incident that has taken place. Let's take a listen to what they had to say.
The investigation is underway as to divulge, or rather find out the origins of the said certificate. Definitely you will see justice prevail. As you have said, this is a serious offence which results in people having jobs that they are not due to them because of handing in over fraudulent certificates. The Hawks will be investigating, as we have already done, without fear or favour or prejudice of everyone.
Makwarela is facing 2 counts of fraud. Okay, the other count is in relation to the fraudulent document he submitted, stating that he was rehabilitated. And the second count, which is the first count in this case, relates to the money that he was paid, the remuneration he was paid when he was employed as a speaker and a councillor at the city of Tshwane. That amount of money amounts to just a little bit more than of 1.4 million rands.
Tell us, why did you not oppose bail here this time around?
Because as the state, we had no grounds to oppose bail because it's not a flight risk. His address was confirmed, and he met all the requirements that warranted him to be granted bail.
How serious are these charges, Luka?
These charges are very serious because this offence is a Schedule 5 offence.
All right, so we played the bites in reverse order, but that, of course, is Lumka of the NPA,
Yeah.
Mahanjana, and before that was Katlego Mogale of the Hawks.
Yes.
Speaking to the possibility of more arrests. Now, I just thought this was one person potentially. Just flesh out what these more arrests might mean.
So they released a statement earlier on, which was quite interesting. And I quoted a line here where the Hawks say that Makwarela was requested by the city to provide proof of the rehabilitation certificate. The proof was, however, provided on his behalf by his actuary.
Aha. Okay.
So they're trying to find out as to whether was there an accomplice to this, was there someone else who was involved, and whether could it be political as well, because there were allegations in the beginning where there was a Twitter account spreading allegations on social media saying he was ill-advised by some members of the ANC to hide this and not disclose. But the ANC has since come out to say, no, that's not true, and that it was a fake account. So the Hawks are dealing with a very broad investigation here, and it seems as though Makwarela is not the only culprit, but there are more people who will actually be held to account in relation to this matter.
All right. Okay, so that's what's happening with the former mayor. And, of course, meanwhile, the newly installed mayor is hard at work trying to sort out problems of finances in the city of Tshwane. That's the big challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he says that he's unraveled quite a lot of issues as well in relation to a PAYU contract from 2012 to 2017, which the city is still being charged for in terms of taxes as well. We understand that it was one matter that was taken to the court so it could be cancelled, but it looks as though it still has some bit of repercussions in the city's finances. Seems as though the city is paying for their sins of the previous administrations as well. But Celia Brink, speaking to us earlier on, says they have to get hard at it by ensuring that they can accelerate service delivery. The new mayoral committee was elected last week. We understand today was a meeting about the budgets and the draft budget, which speaks to the money that will be used to service the city. However, there's a concern here, Sally. The DA has signed a petition and they've gone to court to try and have the speaker ousted from council, Mr. Nzwanana, who represents the ATM, because they are of the view that he will not be progressive and he could block that process of having to have the adjustment budget passed. And they're trying to avoid the city being placed under administration because COCTA gave the city until the 14th of April to pass the adjustment budget. So time is ticking. And therefore, they believe by removing him, they can install their own speaker and pass the adjustment budget and finally have service delivery accelerated in the capital city.
So certainly not clear skies ahead for Tshwane at this point. Thank you so much for that update on both scores. Reporter Pule Letshwiti-Jones. Now still ahead.